Guys, today we are here with my new friend Matt, who's going to be showing us some of the steps in how to make some bezel set infinity rings. Some of you may have seen a while back Grant's story on Instagram where he came and he made a ring here at this shop, and he thought it was so cool that we're going to make a few more. And what he really wanted to do was make sort of an infinity gauntlet, but rather than a gauntlet, just make a different ring for each finger. And so we've got a whole bunch of stones, and Matt is going to show us how to take the rest of the raw materials and put everything together to turn them into rings.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be working with this red stone first. This is the pinky stone for Grant. We are going to be grinding the back down and making it a bit flatter so it's going to sit inside of the setting a bit better. So first we're going to work with the lapidary machine. What it does is it spins really, really fast sandpaper that keeps wet, and we're going to grind down the back.
It's interesting. This thing is grinding down the stone and it's really flattening it out. But it's not something that's like really wearing away at my fingers, which means it has very, very hard grinding, but it's such a low grit that it's not really doing anything to my skin. Now I've got this stone ground down on the back. What's the next step?
Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is getting the bezel. So we're going to be using this thin brass sheet as our bezel, and we're going to wrap it around the stone as tightly as we can and figure out exactly how long this brass wire needs to be to hug that stone just perfectly. So now go ahead and use these flush cutters to cut just a little bit extra, and make sure you're cutting at a 90-degree angle.
All right, we've got our little band cut and pretty exactly sized around the stone. What do we do?
Okay, so we always double check it, make sure that it really does hug it, and it looks like it's perfect. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that these ends are flat. When you cut metal, rarely does it ever cut clean. It usually pinches it off at the tip. So we're going to use a file to file down those tips to make it more flat.
Got it.
And when we're filing, we want to keep that at a perfect angle, so we're not filing anything.
We don't lose any distance. Got it.
Okay, so this is where it gets a lot more fun. We are going to solder these ends together. So the first step is going to be making them what we call kissing. So you want to get them right matched up. So what I usually do is I go over and I go under to create some springiness to it, and then I try and get them matched up just right. So I'll have you work on that.
Cool.
We have our two ends matched up perfectly, and now we're going to use this thing we call a third arm, which is just some tweezers that are held up at this platform.
It's like reverse tweezers.
Exactly. And it's going to hold these in place, and then we're going to apply flux. And what flux does is as it heats up, it cleans the surface of the brass and tells the solder where to go, basically. Without flux, the solder would just ball up and it wouldn't melt into the crack. It will just end up overheating and potentially could end up damaging the brass. So we add flux every time we do any soldering. Solder comes in 3 different heats. We have hard, medium, and easy. And basically all that is that it is a solder that is mixed with different amounts of alloys. So the less alloys there are, the hotter it needs to be to melt. The more alloys there are, the less heat we need to make it melt. So this is 0.925 sterling silver. But what it is, it's mixed with, I think, zinc and tin. And zinc and tin are metals that melt at much lower temperatures. So we're gonna start working out with hard solder, and then work our way down to easy.
We took our soldering bar and we just laid it right across the gap, which is currently closed together nicely. Having the flux on there also helps just keep that right where we put it. It's obviously not rolling off because the flux is kind of a goo. So I'm gonna take this torch, I'm gonna start kind of far away, let it heat up, be moving in closer and closer, and the goal is to get the little piece of solder to melt. What is it I'm looking for?
What you're gonna see is once you reach that magic temperature, you're gonna see that bar of solder just like melt into the crack. And once it melts, that's when we wanna back up. We don't wanna keep the heat on there too long because we don't want the solder overflowing and going to different parts of the brass, and we also don't want it to bubble out.
And so once it starts to puddle, what are we talking, like half second, 3 seconds?
Probably around a half second.
Okay, so like it'll go and just sort of that.
Yeah.
And do I stop the heat or do I just back up so it's still?
I'd say back up.
Okay.
Yeah, just back up.
Cool.
And we're using butane torches.
Butane.
Brass is a bit more.
That's our flux starts bubbling up.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty easily.
Flux is gonna go all white and crusty, and then we're gonna move it a little closer, and we're gonna see kind of bubble, and eventually it's gonna go clear. And when it goes kind of dark, then clear.
Ooh, and the whole ring just changed colors.
This is all oxidizing.
Our solder has moved. Is that a problem?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
A little closer. And we're making sure that we're heating up this whole top surface.
Okay.
Because brass is conductive. All right, now you're gonna watch that melt in a second. And brass is forgiving. There we go. Let's go back and forth one more time and have that flow a tiny bit more.
Just puddle a little more than it did.
Exactly.
I was too quick.
And that's it. Great. Cool, so now what we have here is we have our brass, and then we have our silver solder that covered that whole crack. So now I'm gonna have you grab that and quench it in the water. And once it's been underwater for even a second, it's fine to touch.
It's thin enough that it's just cooled off that quickly.
Okay, now we're gonna see if our bezel fits our stone. It should fit snug. Right now you'll notice that the brass is all black.
Very discolored.
Very discolored, and that's gonna be that way until the very, very end.
That's when we'll polish it.
We actually will put it in acid
Ooh.
for a while, and that will help kind of soften it and clean up a little bit, and then we'll polish it. Now that we have our stone in our bezel, the next step is gonna be getting the sheet. And the sheet, we cut from just a 26 gauge piece of brass sheet, and we're going to measure it out and just cut a little more than enough so we have something that we can attach the bezel to. And this will be the backing that goes against your finger. One thing you're gonna notice about this sheet is that it's kind of crazy looking.
It's a little warped.
It's really warped.
I assume we want it flat.
Exactly. So we're gonna use our little anvil and our rawhide hammer. So we like using a rawhide hammer when we work with metal because it does not do any real dents.
Is that flat enough?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right. Probably spent twice as long on that as I needed to.
Okay, so now we're going to be soldering the bezel onto the sheet.
Ooh.
So that means that on this solder, we're going to go ahead and use medium. And medium melts a little bit lower.
Because this way we won't melt the first solder joint, but it will still bond to the brass.
Exactly.
So we won't lose what we've already done. Right,
so go ahead and just
pieces
line
and sort of
the
line
inside.
inside.
Exactly right. The important part about this solder is that if you think about these two pieces of metal, you have the brass here and you have the sheet here. The brass bezel is going to get hotter a lot faster than the sheet. It's less dense. There's less metal there. So that means that what you don't want to have happen is for the bezel to get hot and then have all the solder stick to the bezel, but have the sheet still cool and have it never stick to the sheet. Okay, aim down and go in circles. So we're gonna see the flux bubble, which is totally normal. And I'll come in here and kind of push those solder bits close to the edge. All right, now we're pretty hot, so we're gonna focus on getting the sheet hot. So I want you to aim right in the center, and then I want you to go circles around the outside. Perfect. Now what we're looking for now is if there's any light gaps. So it looks like over here, that haven't quite melted. So kind of go up and down on this end. And big circles again. Solder goes where it's hottest. So what we're doing is we're heating the inside and then going to the outside and sucking it out. And you are good. So put the flame down. So now we have this piece of brass. The bezel is soldered down to the sheet. And an important part about this step is we actually do not want to shove our stone in there. It's tempting, but it will get stuck. So we can kind of place it in there, get an idea of how it's going to look, but we don't actually shove it into the actual bezel until the very end, after it's all polished. So what we always do is we're going to use scissors just to cut as close as we can to the bezel, and then we're going to use an actual lapidary machine grinder to get right up against the edges.
Definitely got some of the brass color showing up now that we've been grinding away the oxidized layer on the outside.
That looks great. So we have these nice curved edges all the way around the outside. My fingernail can't catch any of these edges, and we're not worried about color quite yet. Right now you'll see it is brassy on the bottom half because we just grinded that, and it's all red on the top half. but on the next solder, it's gonna get all red again. So this is exactly what you wanna see.
Sweet.
Now comes time to do the ring band. So the ring band is gonna be the part that goes around your finger that's actually gonna hold the stone in place. So we are gonna be sizing this one to a 5.
Size 5, and that would be Grant's left pinky finger.
That's right.
I believe. So
the way we get the right size is we use a ring mandrel. It has different numbers on here gauging what size it is. So we're gonna be aiming for that size 5 right there. So begin wrapping your silver band around the ring mandrel and trying to get to that size 5. Once you kind of have the rough shape, go ahead and just cut it. Cut it like right here.
Probably still have a little more material on there than I need, huh?
Yeah, so now what we do is actually slide it down on the ring mandrel and use this rawhide hammer just to make it into a circle. We don't really worry about size as much. Now we have the ring band to the correct size. What we want to see is a really good connection between the ring band and the brass sheet. So we're actually going to grind a flat spot across the top of this so it lays flat. So that's perfect. Now it's flat and it's going to lay right on there. Like I said earlier, the more connection, the better for a solder. So we're going to flux this up as always, and then we're actually going to use a third arm to hold that in place right there.
Easy solder this time?
Yes. The goal with this solder is to get it just hot enough for the easy solder to melt and make that connection strong, but we do not want to get it too hot, because if we get it too hot,
we'll lose the other two bonds.
Exactly. So with this solder, what we're focusing on again is getting that sheet nice and hot. We do want the band to be hot as well, so it has something the solder will have something to connect to. A little closer. And if you watch closely, you're going to see that brass turn all black. Looks great. Perfect.
All right.
All right, go ahead and quench it.
This. That looks like a ring.
Okay, so we always check those solders, make sure that they're nice and secure. I kind of wiggle it a little bit, and these aren't going anywhere. So now comes the next step, and we're going to drop this in a crock pot full of acid.
We've got our slow cooker full of acid, and now we just drop the ring in. How long do we leave it in there?
We'll leave it in for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then once it's gonna go in looking pretty black. When it comes out, brass is gonna look kind of light red. Okay, so we pulled them out of the crock pot, and now you're going to notice that there's a bit of a red hue across all of the brass.
Yeah, it looks more like copper at this point.
Exactly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grind away all of that red, and underneath that you're going to see a lot of really pretty brass color. So we're going to use the lapidary machine one more time, and we're going to use some of the softer grinding wheels. They're more like sandpaper.
I've now ground down pretty much all of the red surfaces that I can get to, and it's time to move on to the polishing wheel. This is a very, very fine grit stuff that sticks to our wheel, and then it polishes the brass just by being very slightly abrasive. Our ring is all cleaned, polished, and cut and ready to go, and for the most part, the bezel should do its job and hold the stone in. All right, the stone is set. This was a pretty tight fit. And now, do we want to bend the bezel in over it just a little bit to hold it better?
So, this is called a burnishing tool, and what we use this for is to bend that brass
Press onto
over the top of the stone like that, all the way around. Put your whole strength into it. We want to bend that brass as closely to the stone as possible.
Awesome. Now, some of my fingernails may have some black metal polish under them at the moment, but there you go, the 5 rings, and these are not sized for my hands. I can't quite get them on all the fingers. I've just got them set up like this, but they're looking pretty nice. We've got some great colors and some very shiny brass. We've got 5 rings on a bracelet made. That, I think, makes us as powerful as Thanos.
Powerful as Thanos?
Thanks again to Matt here at the Gem Studio. Matt, where can people find out more about this place?
So you guys can find us at the.gemstudio on Instagram or thegemstudio.com.
Guys, that's not all. We've got more for you to see. That box up at the top will transport you directly to our last video, and you should go check that out. The box at the bottom will show you what YouTube thinks you should be watching next. And if you hit this bomb in the middle, you'll be subscribed to our channel so you never miss out on a video. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.